Most of the time when we build a house or a commercial building, we mostly focus only on the structure, the furniture, fittings and the interior designings. But there is a very important part of the premises that we are missing out on. Do you know what it is? It is your garden. A garden to walk in, an immensity to dream in. What would a house be without a beautiful garden? Let us talk about landscape architecture.
Every civilization, every empire has left its mark on the landscape, from the Stone Age to the ancient world, the Middle Ages, Renaissance and Baroque, the 19th century, the 20th century and today. Landscape is the big picture. To the house you live in, your street corner, your route to school, the place you play. Landscape is our world. From a simple sketch to a master plan. Visualized, modeled, consulted, worked out, and constructed. From the playgrounds to parks, streets, public squares, waterfront developments, schoolyards, golf courses, theme parks, national parks, wetlands, courtyards, industrial parks, heritage landscapes and botanical gardens. To ensure landscapes maintain ecological health, supporting maximum biodiversity and maturing the way the designer intended towards understanding and nurturing our landscape. And landscape architects are well placed to respond. Visionary, creative, sustainable, influential, inspiring. We talk about landscaping architecture in Sri Lanka.
Or a touch on a plant is enough to open your inner eyes than going for a serious yoga and other therapies. Let us talk more facts about landscaping.
Landscaping is an idea of connecting people and nature, and also creating a beautiful environment around us. And that's a simple definition of landscaping, because we like to keep our environment beautiful, and that's something we're proud about. It sounds mythical because we born and grow up with the nature, and then again we want to organize and arrange and design the environment. That's a landscaping, and because we wanted to keep things the way we want, and we design and we organize around, and we craft something out of the natural resources, and so that's landscaping. Landscaping is a place that we walk, And landscaping is a place that we talk to someone and sit down, and that's a place that we always go out, and everybody wants to go out. This is the space that we enjoy the time and talking to someone, walking, jogging, and or either taking a time off. Landscaping is a craftsmanship of creating a specific ambience to the specific place. So that is landscaping, and also it's not a decoration that we do when it's coming to landscaping, and we create a specific ambience to the specific location, and that's something that we feel and experience after we creating that craftsmanship.
The art and craft of growing plants with the goal of creating a pleasant environment within the landscape is priceless. Landscaping elements bring out an immense look to the environment. Let us talk more about how these elements can upgrade the look of your garden space.
In landscaping, there are 7 key design principles involved, and also there are 8 key design elements involved. So if we refer back to the 7 design principles such as contrast, proportion, color, repetition, rhythm, and sequency, texture. These are the 7 design principles that we usually use for landscape design. So without all these principles, it's quite hard to conceptualize a nice landscape design. And then refer back to the key design elements. There are 8 key design elements we usually use for landscaping, such as space, circulation, lighting, wind, water, furniture, plants, and sculptures. So these are the main elements that we usually deal with when we are crafting a proper landscaping. So in order for us to place and play with all these elements, we also need to refer back to the design principles. So it's a combination of both design principles and key elements. So we need to work these 2 sides like simultaneously in order for us to create something beautiful. The space is the main key. That's the first thing that we are working on when we are thinking of planning or designing or crafting landscaping. Where are we going to define paths and trees and plants and all the ornaments, or either whether furniture. Third key element is light, which is extremely important to landscaping. Whether it's a natural lighting, sunlight, or either artificial light. So it's a matter of time whether it's at daytime we are depending on the natural light, sunlight. So based on the planning and the space and the circulation, how you're going to craft. So these are the options that we have when it's coming to lighting out of natural lighting, or either whether it's artificial lighting. Fourth key element that we can consider wind, which we can't control much, but also it depends on how we're going to craft the landscaping. Water is something that gives life to the landscaping. One of the beautiful element in landscaping where we get reflection. So water is the only element that we can reflect what we have created, and also it's something keep moving, and that's something give life to the landscaping. Sixth key element, of course, plant. There are plenty of varieties. Refer back to the design principles. Actually, when we are selecting and planting plants, actually we need to really consider color and also the repetition. You need to make sure that you have concern about texture, color, and also the repetition and rhythm and sequencing. In landscaping, furniture and sculptures play a big part of landscaping. Considerably, it's kind of very important, especially if it's a public landscaping like a park, and furniture. It's very important. That's something we sit down and relax, and at the same time, sculptures are important. That's considered an artistic element that we compose into landscaping.
It's the talent and the creativity of the architect and the patience it takes to work on upgrading a limited space and to tackle with nearly every size and shape to bring out the best and to enhance the lifestyle of people.
I believe good design is always careful design. So if you are careful, if you're really concerned, your outcome is very good. I think there's no doubt, because you're putting your effort to conceptualize something great. And then in order for us to conceptualize, there is always a process that we go through, understanding the space and how much that you can build and how much that you can grow your landscaping. And also definitely we consider doing landscaping once we build something which is part of the architecture and interior. And then whether it's a small scale or the bigger scale, doesn't matter. Like the main approach is developing a space, is architecture that's quite generic, and then we find the leftover space and how much we have, and then we considering like something developing out of that space. There are two significant approaches involved when we are thinking of designing or crafting a landscaping. The first one is very rectilinear, like very modern, very organized, very contemporary, plus involvement of technology. You know, like that's kind of a world that we are living today. We want everything to be so organized, so neat, and also making sure that we use technology in order for us to craft and create a landscaping. And the other hand, so which is a second approach, is something can be very spontaneous, let it go, and you don't really control so much. I think natural nature is always beautiful, whether you organize it or not, doesn't matter. And the second approach is which is spontaneous, you know, like, and very haphazard, and that's kind of a contrast also that we can create, because if you have a very wilderness landscaping against to a contemporary building, I think that there is a huge contrast, and in a way that you are respecting to the nature, and at the same time you creating a huge contrast, having that kind of a landscaping against to the contemporary building.
Unless you have the urge to make it better, a garden refuses to be in its own. It's kind of a meditation to sit in your own garden and to admire the beauty and the greenery of the outside world. It's not an easy task to plan and design your garden. There are certain things the architect should be concerned about when designing a beautiful garden.
Landscape design is one of the most interesting profession in our design industry, because that's one of the profession that you'll be able to push the creative boundaries, and also you are dealing with more live space. There are plenty of possibilities that you can create things, and also the reason is like compared to back in those days and now, there are much more technological supports, and you need to make sure that when you're working as a landscape architect or landscape designer or landscape artist, so these are the three professions, whereas you as a client, when you're dealing with a space with a consultancy, so you need to make sure that you have to work with either landscape architect or landscape designer or landscape artist. So they are the one who like come up with kind of a program and design and concept that matches to your space. If you are a client who is interested on developing your landscaping, whether it's a private and small scale project, or it can be a public space, like can be a really big space, it doesn't matter. Like there are a couple of things that you need to get ready before even you approach a landscape architect. So the first thing is you need to make sure that you have a proper requirement that you have listed down, which we call project briefing, and at the same time you need to make sure that you have a decent budget. And third thing is whatever the basic plan that you have. So when you have these three things, actually that's a stage that you should approach a landscape architect or landscape designer or landscape artist, and then so in that way landscape architect has a initial things that he or she can work it out in order for them to come up with a landscape concept. Then after a landscape architect or landscape designer or artist begin to design and conceptualize the whole idea. It takes certain period of time and for them to come up with a proper landscaping presentation, and also it's very important because before client is pen on execution, like client will be able to see what exactly this landscape architect going to deliver, and what sort of idea that landscape designer wants to execute.
I hope we gave you an important message about landscaping and how it increases the aesthetic values of your garden to bring pleasure to your lives. In the upcoming programs, we are hoping to discuss more important facts about gardening and its benefits. Till then, have yourselves a pleasant week.